All right, let's break down a little AARON Pico here because there's a lot of mixed reviews on this guy. And, I'm not liking what I'm seeing, okay? I see a lot of people saying, this dude's a Bellator bum. He deserves no hype. What has he done to deserve this type of hype train? And I'm here to tell you this. It's fun to be a fan of this guy. Why is it fun to be a fan of this guy? Well, you're going to be on the edge of your seat the entire time, right? This dude could be up 4.5 rounds, putting a beat down on somebody. And at any moment, he could be flatlined cold, toes curled, leaving on a stretcher. That's a fact. His chin is very compromised. I'll say that. That's, I understand that. And that's why it's fun. That's why it's fun. You root for a guy that well, maybe not always, but it's fun to have a guy that you can root for that is got the skill set to put beat downs on a lot of guys and the chin to get slapped by a lot of guys. Because you're telling me there's a fight at 45 AARON Pico can have that you're not going to be a little bit nervous for, thinking, oh my gosh, he's either going to put this dude away or get freaking highlight reeled bad. Okay, that's why I like being a fan of this guy. Right now, let's go ahead and break down the rankings. First off, we know he gets through Pitbull, right? The bounce back fight, good decision, good mat time. Okay, a finish is nice, but good mat time for a guy like this. Needs the experience, and I think he's got a lot of good fights at 45, especially if they push him the right way, which I think they will. Because think about it, this dude was a win away from getting a title shot. If he went out there and smoked Lerone Murphy, it would have been him fighting Volk, not Diego Lopez. It would have been Pico versus Volk. So even though he lost to Lerone Murphy, he bounces back, beats Pitbull. He's now ranked number 13. He's not going to have to climb through all these scary matchups like, guys like Gene Silva who can crack, guys like Vallejos who can crack. Even Steve Garcia is a scary fight. I think they're going to push him maybe 2-3 fights max, and then he's right back in the title picture. And I like a few of these matchups, right? I think the first one that stands out to me, if I'm AARON Pico, I'm going to take a peek here, and I see Brian Ortega at number 11. Now, Brian Ortega doesn't really make 45 that much anymore. He's going to be missing weight. So take the fight with him take the fight against Brian Ortega. Let's do it at 55. If you're Pico, I think it's worth it. You get a little fight camp. You're not going to have to cut all the weight, and it's still going to matter for your 45 resume. You get through Brian Ortega. Let's say you're the first one to flatline him cold with them nasty hands of yours. That's a big deal. You beat Brian Ortega. You're beating a guy who at 45 has fought for the belt several times. He's got a big name. And if you smoke him, you're going to be pushed up a couple rankings anyway. You're probably going to, I wouldn't be surprised if they threw you at the number 10 if you went out there and smoked Ortega, who's number 11. If you did at 55, I still think you get that nice little bump, and I think it's a good win on the resume over a former vet at 45 who doesn't have the KO power in his hands. We know Brian Ortega doesn't crack with his hands, man. So that's a safe, approachable fight against a name who's got a ranking and has got some status in the sport. Okay, AARON Pico, you get through Brian Ortega. Let's say you get through him. What's next? Well, you got to look at guys like Aljo, right? I know he's fighting Zalal, win or loss. I don't know if they're going to, push him for that title shot. I think Aljo's a great fight for Pico. Another guy who the wrestling scrambles will be fun. I'm sure that'll be a tough fight. We'll see how Pico does against a guy who's going to be spamming takedowns on him. But on the feet, Aljo's got no pop in his shot either, man. This guy's hands aren't, lethal weapons. He ain't going to put some he's not going to chin Pico with his hands. I'd be very surprised if Aljamain could put the freaking starch out on AARON Pico. I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is another safer fight for AARON Pico to take. And let's say you smoke him as well. I mean, you're already right there. I wouldn't be surprised. You smoke Ortega, you smoke Aljo. I wouldn't be surprised if they put you right in there against Volk. But let's say they're like, you know what? You beat those two guys. You got to fight one more. Who's it going to be? Well, let's look at guys like Diego Lopez and say, no way, Jose. Let's get away from that guy. Let's look for Mosvar. Let's say, in an ideal world, Mosvar's coming off a beatdown loss to Volk. He's still going to be like number 1 or 2. Another guy with zero finishing ability, zero power in his hands. You go out there as AARON Pico, you smoke Mosvar, a guy who is not a threat to you on the feet. That's another safe, very good approach. Not an easy fight by any means, but it's an approachable fight. I think any dude at 45 who doesn't have the power in his hands, Pico's going to beat him. That's what I believe. I mean, Lerone Murphy isn't a knockout artist. He caught him. I think that if they ran that back, he's not going to catch him with a spinning elbow again. This guy, that was like the first finish he's had like ever. AARON Pico got caught. I'm not saying AARON Pico would beat him in a rematch, but look, he was doing very well in that fight. He had Lerone backing up. He was ripping body shots. That was Pico's debut. He gets caught. I think at 45, the landscape at 45, he doesn't need to go through the scariest of guys to get to the title shot. I think he just needs to pick and choose the smart ones. Let's look for guys that aren't known for popping their power, popping their hands, popping their shot. Pardon me, let me slow it down here. Even Yusuf Zalal, if he beats Aljo, he's not really a name I see them pushing. So let's say Yusuf beats Aljo. I mean, that's another guy who's not really known for devastating power in his hands either, man. You go out there, you take that fight against him too. I mean, there's options for him. Even Yair Rodriguez, he's a little more dangerous as far as the guys I've just mentioned. He's got the unpredictability of throwing some spinning craziness, catch you on the dome and put you out cold. But at this point, I don't think Yair is all in the game. He's so inactive. I think Pico can mix in the wrestling and beat Yair as well. So there's a few approachable matchups here that he can get to, which will bump him to the title shot. And against Volk, that's a fun fight. I know a lot of people are going to say, you're an absolute crazy man for ever putting Pico's name next to Volk's name. But it almost happened, man. And you see the skill set of Pico. It's there. He's got the wrestling. He's got the boxing. And no one's ripping body shots like Aaron Pico. This dude's nasty with it. I mean, look at the physique of the guy. No homo, but this dude is clearly in shape and training like a professional elite level athlete. Whereas a lot of these guys, let me just use the example of Brian Ortega here. Brian Ortega, he's a great jiu-jitsu guy, good fighter. But you look at the physique of the guy, who looks like they're training year-round, nonstop, between these two guys here. This is what I'm saying. I think Pico has a lot of potential in the sport. It just comes down to the chin. And that's why I think you got to take the safe fights while you can, because you're not always going to. Let's say you get to the title shot and, you got Gene Silva. Maybe he's next and he's right there coming off another finish. Like, that's a scary fight you're going to have to take, but let's avoid them as long as we can. Let's get through the grapplers first. Let's go through Brian Ortega's. Let's look for the Aljos, the Zalalos. Let's look for guys that, Mosvar, guys that aren't going to be that dangerous on the feet with the hands, that are going to clip you and put you dead in the water. Okay, because if people get slapped one more time, I don't know if I could, keep sitting on this hype train. I might have to jump off. It's going to hurt. I'm going to hit the ground hard, but I'm going to have to jump off. So I think Pico's got a future here. I think skill set wise, he could be a big deal, a big problem for a lot of these 45ers, man. This guy's crisp. He's nasty. He's got some power. He's got the wrestling. It's just a matter of the chin. That's all it comes down to, is that chin. And time will tell. Is this guy going to go out there and put some beatdowns on a few guys, get to the top, and everyone's going to be like, oh, well, I guess the hype on this dude was right? Or is he going to get flatlined dead again, and everyone's going to say, another Bellator bump, send him back to the G League? Time will tell. Anyways, it's fun to root for this guy. Win or loss, it's going to be excitement. Come on now, get on the hype train. And yeah, that's it. Aaron Pico, bud.